right, so the first thing I want to just quickly preview the 2020 season. Like, how do you feel about it? Are you optimistic? And just your thoughts on that.
Yeah, I mean, look, I'm as optimistic as we could be. I mean, you think
Right.
we're in unprecedented times. You're living it every day with your team. I think the most important thing right now, guys, got to understand is it's going to challenge leadership. It's going to challenge leadership from your coaching staff. It's going to challenge leadership from your locker room.
Yeah.
How you react to the issues of the day, how you react to the uncertainty, how you react to a contact tracing, how you react to a positive test, how do you react to a game that's maybe canceled or delayed, how do you react to all the things that basically there's no game plan or cliff notes for.
Right.
How you react, that's how your team's going to react. So as a head coach, it's going to put a lot of pressure on you to make sure that you're as even as possible and understand, control your controllables, control what you can control. Because if you overreact, your team is going to react.
Mm-hmm.
So you've got to do a great job as a leader, make sure that you're sending your messages consistent every single day. We're going to control what we can control. We're going to work as hard as we can. We're going to be as cautious as we can. We're going to make all the right decisions. We're going to have great peer pressure within our team so that we stay true to our non-negotiables and our core beliefs, especially during these most difficult times. And then you've got to have leadership in your locker room. You've got leadership in your locker room where someone gets off track. You got to pull him on track, because if not, if they get the virus, then all of a sudden your bad decision, one person's bad decision is going to impact so many others. And I feel for you guys, because my feel for you guys is that this is so uncommon.
Yeah.
This is not part of the college experience.
No doubt.
It is not fair. And for all the people that are going to tell you, well, you're going to be better off for this. No. You're not going to be better off for it. I'll tell you what you're going to be. You're going to appreciate more what you had. You're going to appreciate the next time you can go to a movie. You're going to appreciate the next time you can go and sit in the caf and just hang out and BS. You're going to appreciate the next time that you can do certain things that in your lifetime you've become accustomed to that have been taken away. You're not going to be better off for it, but you're going to be more appreciative of it.
Yes, sir. Yeah, no. Okay, so just a little bit, I like to ask, guys about their background just a bit. So you went to Fairleigh Dickinson, and I saw, you got the broadcast journalism degree. So you played, did you want to be a coach right away or get into the broadcasting space, or kind of what were your mindset during your, college years?
There was never time in my developmental life I didn't want to coach.
Mm-hmm.
I've been impacted by coaches, whether it was my high school coach, my ninth grade coach, whether it was going to the five-star basketball camp way back in the day and listening to the UB Browns, and who's a little bit older than us, Rick Pitino's and some other people. But I was in love with the game. I was lost in the game. My dad played for the legendary Claire B at LIU. It was something that was ingrained in me. I knew I wasn't a great player. I went to Fairleigh Dickinson, Harvard on the Hackensack. I played for a great coach, a guy named Al Ababo, who was Knight's assistant at Army, UB Brown's high school coach. One of the great teachers of ball U-man defense in the history of the game. Mm-hmm. And that's why I went to Fairleigh. He was my main professor. And I was a good player. I could get us into offense, and I could play really hard. But it's something I always wanted to do. I got into broadcast journalism because I felt that a big part of coaching is communicating.
Right.
And communicating is a sender, receiver, and feedback. Communicating is figuring out how to say something to someone so they could decipher it and understand it. Communicating is a big part of recruiting. Communicating is a big part of visiting with your team. Communicating is a big part of presenting things to a team so that they understand, not what you know, but what they can understand. So that's why I really majored in communications is because I thought it would help me in my teaching.
Okay, awesome. So then you, right away, I always ask people, for myself, did you GA right when you graduated, or what was kind of your first, job right after graduation?
I was fortunate. I got the assistant coaching job. I got the graduate assistant job at Fordham. While I was still, after my senior season at Fairleigh Dickinson, Tom Penders got the Fordham job. He was the Columbia coach. Mm-hmm. And I knew Coach Penders through the five-star camp. I interviewed with him. He gave me the GA job. That's when GAs could recruit and do anything and everything.
Yeah.
And so I went on the road recruiting while I was still in college.
Mm-hmm.
And was able to sign a player, and that actually got the attention of a guy named Buddy Mahar, who was the head coach now at Columbia, where Tom Penders left. And he actually offered me the full-time assistant coaching job and head JV coach at Columbia. So the day I graduated college, I got the Columbia full-time assistant's job, which was obviously crazy and blessed. And I didn't know what I didn't know. I loved ball. I was passionate about the game. I was passionate about teaching the game, but there's so much more to it. But it was a great opportunity for me. From there, I went to Pitt and spent some time there, Virginia, Miami, Long Beach State, and on and on.
Yeah, so obviously I saw like 2-time ACC Coach of the Year, 2 Big West tournament championships, a regular season championship, and a Conference USA regular season championship. So obviously starting at Long Beach State, kind of what was your best team there, and then South Florida, and then over to Virginia Tech? Just kind of break those down quickly.
Yeah, I don't like to do best teams because I appreciate all my players.
Right.
And I wouldn't want to slight anyone that played for me.
No doubt.
I had really good teams at Long Beach State. I had Lucius Harris and Brian Russell, both played 12, 13 years in the NBA, who won those Big West Conference championships. We went into Fog Allen Fieldhouse and beat Kansas when they were number one in the country. We competed with UNLV back in the Jerry Tarkanian years. We beat Memphis when they were 5th in the country. Those were really good teams. They had really good, hard-nosed, tough players. Joaquin Hawkins played 5 years in the NBA. James Cotton played 3 years in the NBA. We built an arena on campus called the Pyramid, which was an incredible home court compared to when we started. So that was a great experience. I went to South Florida. Probably a mistake in my coaching career because of the year before I turned down the USC job, and we had some things going on in the athletic department and within the Big West. The year before, we won the Big West Conference regular season and didn't even make the NIT. It was ridiculous. Had a terrific team. So I took the South Florida job, which was a tough job with a great AD, though, Paul Griffin. And that was a good experience. I had good players, B.B. Walden, Altron Jackson, Reggie Cohn, who's a phenomenal high school coach in the state of Florida, other really good players. Never really figured out exactly how to win there. I made a mistake. We went with all Florida guys, and my stuff is a little bit more intricate, and we needed a couple more what I call floor gamers. We won games. One at Louisville, which was obviously a big thing for us. One at Memphis, which was a big thing for us. But never got as good as we wanted to get. But had a great experience and had great people working with me, and it was a good time. But it always disappoints when we didn't get more done there.
Okay. So can you kind of break down this for me? Okay, 2006, 2007 year at Virginia Tech, you guys – in an 8-day span, you beat number 5 Duke and number 1 UNC. Kind of talk about that whole week and that experience.
Yeah, they were both on the road, which was even more crazy. I had good players. I had really good players. I had Zabian Dudell and Jamon Gordon. Jamon was the defensive player of the year in the league, and Zabian was first team all ACC. I had Coleman Collins, who was an experienced front court player. Deron Washington, who played as hard as any wing guy in the country. I had Eddie Visayo, who was a big-time jump shooter. I had guys that could come off the bench who were competitive, Lewis Switcher and people like that. I had a good team. I mean, that was a veteran team. It was a senior team. That was a team that the year before lost on a half-court shot at Duke, which was obviously crushing. The year before, we dealt with 3 of our players' parents contacted cancer. In the middle of the season, it was just hard to get through a practice, let alone the season, because of the tragedy we were dealing with. One of our players lost his dad. It's really hard, but that team showed great resiliency. And that next year, we had a toughness, a sense of purpose, we wanted to redeem ourselves, because the year before we couldn't get over the hump in a close game because we were scarred, quite honestly. That was a fiercely competitive team who could really, really guard. I mean, really, really guard. And when you see Coach Kelsey, ask him how many times we sent them back into the locker room.
All right. Yes, sir. When he was at Wake.
Yeah.
So, okay, one more question about Virginia Tech days. So, obviously, you won ACC Coach of the Year 2 times, so this is a really unique perspective for people to hear. Just kind of talk about the gauntlet that the ACC is as a head coach in that conference.
Well, Skip Prouser gave me the greatest advice that anyone ever gave me, and Skip was a dear friend and he wasn't a mentor, but he was a guy that I just had great admiration for. And my first year in the league, I'm sitting here with him that summer. He goes, look, you can't overreact to anything. It's never as good as you think it is. It's never as bad as you think it is. He said, we were number one in the country and in great shape. And then all of a sudden things, we have Duke, Carolina, and Maryland back to back to back. We get whacked 3 times. So you got to look at it from above and understand. You just concentrate on what's in front of you. Take care of what's in front of you, all right? Get your team ready to play. Learn from it, move on from it, get ready to the next game. The league is tough. And we went into the league. Now, people picked us to be coming last. We ended up coming 4th our first year. We got the bye in the ACC tournament. We got the bye in the ACC tournament, I think, 5 out of 6 years. You can't overreact to anything. You play a game, you learn from it, you do your film work, you do your board work, you do your skill work, you make your points of emphasis, then you wipe the slate clean and you move on to the next game. You can't short-term memory. It's like playing golf. You hit a bad shot, you got to get the next play. I mean, you would hear our guys say, "Look, next play, next game. We got to move on because if you stay in the past, all right, it'll absolutely suffocate you." So, the league is great. It's fun. Yeah. I mean, when you're playing in the Comcast Center, when you're playing in the Dean Dome, when you're playing at Joel Coliseum, when you're going on the road and playing in the great venues of the league, it's a blast, but it's exhausting. Yeah. And you've got to find ways to keep your team fresh. You got to find ways to be really good in time and score and late game because there's a more level playing field. And you got to figure out with your team at your school, how are you going to win? Like I was saying, who are you and how do you win? So everything I did with our teams at Virginia Tech was, all right, Duke and Carolina were the standard.
Right.
All right. Now, for a while, Wake was there with Chris Paul, but I'm going to eliminate that. Duke and Carolina standard. So everything we did, we built around how can we compete and be competitive against Duke and Carolina? Because if we can be competitive against Duke and Carolina, then we can be competitive against anyone in the country. And that's kind of what we did.
Nice. So you coached against Justin Gray, right?
Yeah, sure did. Yeah.
Okay. He's one of our assistants now. So that's
Justin made some jumpers against us. I think we had a pretty good record against Justin Gray, though.
Yeah.
Justin Gray played with my man Eric Williams, who I call SpongeBob SquarePants, the big square dude that played at Wake Forest. Ask Coach Kelsey about him also. We played a little triangle and 2 on those boys, and
will do, and
shut them down in the Joel, and I think they were number 1 in the country.
I'm going to send him that clip. All right, so getting into a couple more things here, and then I'll let you go. NCAA, kind of the future with the name, image, and likeness stuff. I asked Jay this too. Like, I'm just kind of curious.
Once you ask Jay, the answer is, the question is answered.
Oh, is that how it works?
I don't think it's going to have as great an impact as everyone else. And I'll tell you why. Number one, I don't think a major corporation, unless maybe in a Zion situation, a shoe company or something, is going to risk the brand of their company on an 18-year-old on a college campus. Mm-hmm. Where I do think it's going to have an impact is for young people as influencers in social media.
Yeah.
I think that's the greatest opportunity.
100%.
Is that and I think every college big-time program, when they sign player X, Y, they're going to say, hey, I just signed, Seth Greenberg. He's a great follower. And they're going to try to raise the number of followers that person has to improve their opportunity to be influencers.
Yeah.
And then I think that's where the money is. The other thing, I think in the non-revenue sports, you're going to see, young, my daughter played volleyball. So, Jackie Greenberg could have had a volleyball camp. Mm-hmm. They can't have one now, but they could have a volleyball camp. They could have clinics. They could have autograph signings. They could have maybe some appearances, local appearances in college towns. Sure, there's a possibility for that. I just don't think the corporate community is going to expose themselves to the decision of an 18-year-old. I might be wrong.
Yeah.
But I do think you'll see people, and I get a kick out of it. Winthrop, you guys got a great program. But let me tell you something. It's real simple. You can't have a level playing field between Winthrop, Duke, Carolina, State, and those people. It's just the way it is. You can't legislate it.
Right.
Look, we didn't run our program at Virginia Tech like they ran the program at Duke, Carolina, Maryland. We didn't have the resources.
Yep.
So, for the NCAA to say we got to make it level across the field, that's impossible. It's unrealistic.
Right.
I think it'll have some impact, but I don't think it'll have the impact everyone thinks it'll have.
Yeah, really probably will have the impact at those bigger schools. So you said something about like promoting their, social medias and stuff. That's kind of something we already see with like team accounts, when you were a coach, like how was like the social media age then? Like at Virginia Tech, you might have gotten like a little bit of it, you know. What was the
I was just at the beginning stage of it. It wasn't really a big thing.
Right.
And, you know, I would just, you know, for our guys that did have social media, I would just say, you know, kind of like Herm Edwards, you know, think before you push send.
Okay.
Understand, and this is something that's really important for you or any college student, whether you're an athlete or non-athlete, your social media account is your resume.
Yeah.
Your social media. So whatever's on your social media account, I don't care what, whether it's Instagram, whether it's, you know, Facebook, whether it's Twitter, you know, obviously Snapchat, I don't know if it disappears, but still people can capture it.
Yeah.
That's your resume. So when you go for a job, you are a reflection of your social media account. And the decisions you make when you hit send could impact your life well past the time that you hit send.
Yeah, no doubt. So, okay, moving on to the TBT. So I don't want to butcher this, but I believe you were on that first broadcast, right?
I wasn't on the first, but I was on a bunch of them.
Yeah. So
I'm a long time. Look, the TBT is the greatest, man.
I know you love the TBT. That's why I want to talk about that. So you were obviously that was the first live sports, you know, in a long time.
Oh yeah. In terms of when Hoop came back,
right?
I'm not sure I had the first game, but look, John Mugar is an incredible guy, and his vision and what he created the first bubble.
Yeah, literally.
And that's just the way it was, and the precautions they had in place. And Albert Hall, who helped run the tournament, they did an incredible job of creating a safe environment, and gave people the idea and the possibility that, hey, this can happen. We can have college basketball. We can have basketball again. And they pulled it off with great precautions and with everyone's well-being at hand. And I think that begat watching other sports open up, quite honestly.
Yeah, no doubt. So you've obviously in other years you'd be courtside, but talk about the Elon ending a little bit. You know, everyone seems to love that, and it's awesome to watch on TV. Kind of, what's the perspective from, you know, in the arena when that's going on?
It's really cool because, you know, every game ends in a game winner. I mean, you got to make a game winner, game-winning free throw, game-winning shot, and then the strategy too. If you have the lead coming into that 4-minute mark, you have the ball in the lead. You're probably going to get a timeout because that's where your target number is going to start from. You've got to guard without fouling because you don't want to put the other team on the line. So you're not giving fouls to get back in the game because all you got to do is get stops.
Yeah.
It's a really interesting way to play the game. It really is. It's I think it makes the end of games great. It creates great energy in the arena. It could work in college basketball. Without a doubt, could work, and I think it would be fun.
Yeah. So, okay. Moving on to College Game Day quick. So, obviously, you, Jay Billis, Reese Davis, Fonzo Ellis, those guys. I was working with that crew, you know, every Saturday morning, you know, primetime television.
That's fun. I mean, and we had Jay Will before that, who I called the little brother I never wanted. But you know, Fonz is unbelievable. First of all, Fonz is like the nicest human being in the world. When you're around Fonzo Ellis, you feel bad about yourself because he's so nice. You can't be as nice. It's just impossible. And then Reese Davis is probably the best in the world at what he does. He makes very difficult things look very easy. And if you see his notes, he's got notes, but he's got, excluding the open, nothing is written out.
Yeah.
He just does it. All right. And you got Jay Billis, who states his opinion like it's a fact.
No doubt.
But he's the conscience and the voice of college basketball. And the great thing about our show is, one, we have tremendous respect for each other.
Right.
We have a absolute blast. Like dinner the night before, which we're not going to be able to do this year because of the virus, is so much fun. I mean, we can disagree without being disagreeable. We can understand. We all look at the game through a different prism. We all want the best for the game, but we just have different opinions. And we like each other, which is important. You know, not everyone, you know, is in that environment. So, I mean, I'm blessed. I'm so fortunate to be given this platform for a person that is in love with the game and gets lost in the game and has a perspective of coaching as a head coach for 22 years and cares about the players and cares about the history of the game and cares about the perception of the game. I couldn't be more proud to be part of it.
What any memories on that set as far as just great atmospheres? I know everyone's a great atmosphere, but are there a couple that stick out to you in the last couple of years?
They all are really good. I like going play for places for the first time. We hosted a game day when I was at Virginia Tech.
Mm-hmm.
Very cool. When you're there for the first time. This year we did Baylor right before the game tipped. That was cool. Maryland right in front of the wall.
Yeah.
Very cool.
That is
Going to Duke and Carolina and Kentucky and Kansas. Kansas, the fog is a great, great environment. Pay heed to all who enter, beware of the fog. Just that sign.
Yeah.
Something else. The Breslin Center and their fans are phenomenal. Everywhere we go, we're so welcomed. What we did this past year with Dayton was so much fun.
Mm-hmm.
You look at that Dayton environment. Now we were in their volleyball gym, and it was just packed.
Right.
And then they were undefeated in the A10. They only had 2 losses, both in overtime.
Mm-hmm.
They were a special team, and they really welcomed us. So they're all good, and we appreciate the fans coming out. We won't have them in front of fans this year, but it's something special.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so I just want to ask you, first of all, I see you got the pickup game with Seth Greenberg, media stuff. How did that kind of start? Is that something you started during quarantine, or is that something you've had for a while?
No, I did that as a favor to my friend Albert Hall, who owns the NBA Summer League, and with Warren Legary, and we would just try to keep basketball in front of people.
Mm-hmm.
And make sure that we basically tried to marriage college basketball and the NBA together.
Okay.
And so we had people from the NBA and college basketball intermingling on the different topics that were impacting our sport, in these uncertain times.
Awesome. And then obviously my podcast of choice, Courtside with Dockets and Greenberg.
Yeah, you probably say that to everyone. That's all right.
No doubt. I'm serious. The world's greatest podcast. I know the intro. How's that doing that with Dan? And then I got one more question about you guys talking about the super division last.
Yeah, it's we have a blast. Dan's great. He's so smart, and he's not afraid to state his opinion. He does 3 hours of radio every day. Obviously, he played for a great coach, Bob Knight. He was a terrific coach. When we do our podcast, it's different. It's just coaches talking ball.
Mm-hmm.
And we really do believe it's good because coaches talk to us differently. That's just who we are. They look at us as peers.
Right.
It isn't being interviewed by some guru that's never coached a game, never called a timeout, never had a player whose family was going through distress, or a player who was emotionally struggling. We have great empathy for what coaches go through because we understand how hard the job is. Getting paid, and I understood all that, but we just have an appreciation for it. And I think coaches appreciate our understanding.
Mm-hmm. Okay, 2 more questions for you. I just want to kind of hear your thoughts. Obviously, you're someone that's seen the college game for a while now. What are your thoughts on the state of the game today, and any other thoughts on that?
Yeah, I think I hate when everyone's doom and gloom. We don't have to have a 24-second clock.
Mm-hmm.
Our game is fine. Our game is different. If we try to be the NBA, we're never going to be as good as the NBA.
Yeah.
I think that our game is getting better flow, which I think is good. I think that's one important thing that is important. I understand there's going to be a trickle-down effect, and we're going to mimic things and concepts. Right. Teams are playing out of more concepts than sets, although they'll go to certain sets in terms of time and score and situations. But we got to celebrate the game this year more than ever. Mm-hmm. We got to celebrate the game because it was taken away from us. The tournament was taken away from us by this deadly disease, and I think it's really, really important that instead of talking about a game being unwatchable, okay, look, like these two teams competing to try to win a game. And winning a game is hard. And there are other things that are going on in these players' lives. Like when you guys start playing again, you guys have lived in isolation basically for 8 months. Yeah. You go to practice, you go to class on Zoom, you go to study hall on Zoom, you go to weights. Some guys just have their food delivered to their door. Everything that is normal is abnormal. And so I think if we can't celebrate your guys' opportunity to play and celebrate the game, we're making a big mistake.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no doubt. Thanks for that. Okay, last question is about grassroots basketball. So you were mentioning that 5-star basketball camp earlier, and I'm kind of curious, what was the landscape of the grassroots stuff, when 20 years ago in comparison to today with all the circuits and stuff? And I'm just kind of curious on your opinion how
Yeah, there were just fewer. There were fewer circuits. There wasn't an Adidas circuit, Under Armour circuit, a Nike circuit, independent circuit. There was AAU basketball, and usually most of the AAU basketball was in Florida or Charlotte, or in California it was the Slam and Jam or others. But there were still teaching camps. There were still competitive camps, evaluation camps. That's what 5-star was.
Okay.
I get upset when people think that grassroots basketball is the evil empire. It isn't. There are some really great people in grassroots basketball. So great organizations that people make tremendous sacrifices for to give people an environment to play in front of people. Things change. You got to have agility.
Mm-hmm.
So unfortunately, the 5-star camp, which was a teaching camp, which developed coaches, which developed players. I mean, the best players in the world, Moses Malone's and the Michael Jordans, and you name a great Isaiah Thomas, you name a great player in that generation, and they played at 5-star. And they got taught by the UB Browns, the Rick Pitino's, the John Calipari's, and all the guys that are of our generation. But grassroots basketball has its place. And there's a lot of good things going on in grassroots basketball. We need to respect that. And everyone thinks that it's the evil empire. It's not the evil empire. There's good and bad in every walk of life. There's good and bad in doctors, lawyers, coaches, businessmen. So you're going to have the same percentage of good and bad in anything you do.
Right.
The good far outweighs the bad. And we need to understand that. And we need to be thankful for the people that are making sacrifices to give young people opportunities to play and be exposed.
No doubt. Yeah. Okay. Well, appreciate your advice and taking a little bit of time to talk to me, Coach.
My pleasure, man. Good luck to you. And tell Kelsey, by the way, tell him that running around after his guy makes a game-winning shot to send me to the locker room. I'll never forget it. No, he's a great guy. I absolutely love him. He's a great coach. He's done an incredible job at Winthrop.
Yeah, for sure.
And, you guys have a great, great season.
All right, Coach. Take care.
All right. Stay safe.
Yes, sir. You too.